A young woman was practicing pole dance moves alone in the evening in her studio when an intruder broke in. Terrified for her life, she tried to escape out the window, but it was locked. Just then, a small movement caught her eye. Her dog, who had been missing for several days, suddenly jumped out of her bag and bravely attacked the intruder. However, during the scuffle, he was fatally wounded. And even though the girl immediately called 911, the dog died from his injuries. What a sad story! Let's look into it further. It all started on December 26, 2013. A 24-year-old woman named Serenity Spinelli was in her home in Norwich, England, where she ran a pole dancing school. That day, like any other day, she decided to practice some moves. What she didn't know was that someone had been watching her for several days already. While she was dancing, a man suddenly opened the door and walked in. He was tall, thin, and unshaven. When the woman turned around, she could see that he had a screwdriver in his hand. "I want your phone," he shouted. She instantly realized that she was dealing with a robber, so she screamed and ran away. The woman ran to her bedroom to get her cell phone, but when she came back, the intruder was gone. As she looked around, she noticed that her purse, which she left by the door, was also missing. It contained her cash, credit cards, and, most importantly, her dog Astro, a Jack Russell Terrier. For several days prior, Serenity had been looking for her beloved pet, but without success. So she gave up hope of ever seeing him again. When the door opened that day, she thought maybe it was her landlord, who was always trying to get in. Therefore, she didn't think much of it. Now that her dog was also gone, she knew she needed to call the police. While waiting for them, she went to the bedroom window to try to calm down. When she tried to open it, she realized that it was locked from the outside. The woman wanted to jump out and run away, but it was pointless. Even if she managed to do so, how could she leave the neighborhood without money, a phone, or any identification? At that point, she heard a noise coming from her bag by the door. The woman froze. Was it a rat? Or could it be something worse? She slowly approached the bag and shone a flashlight into it. To her surprise, she saw two glowing eyes staring back at her. She couldn't believe it. Could it be Astro? After all, she thought he was dead. She reached in and pulled out her dog, who began licking her face. She was over the moon with joy. Astro was alive. But they were soon interrupted. The same man who broke into her house appeared in the doorway. He was holding a screwdriver in one hand and was smiling wickedly. "Where have you been hiding?" The woman screamed. Then she remembered her phone, which was still in the bedroom. It was now or never. She picked up the phone and made a 911 call while Astro barked furiously at the intruder. Meanwhile, the man continued to advance menacingly. Serenity threw her bag at him. But it wasn't enough to stop him. Just then, Astro jumped out and attacked the man. He bit him in the leg and wouldn't let go. This gave the woman time to get away. However, when she turned around, she saw that Astro was in danger. The attacker grabbed him by the neck and slammed him against the wall. Then he threw the dog back into the bag. Serenity rushed to her dog, but it was too late. He had no pulse. In her panic, she pressed the phone against her chest and accidentally hung up. The police would later say that this saved her life because she was able to remain calm. If she hadn't, the robber might have returned. With tears streaming down her face, she carried her lifeless dog out of the house. When the police arrived, they found blood in the bag, on the floor, and on the walls. Although the investigators did their best, they were unable to find the perpetrator. Later, Serenity said that her dog probably scared the man off, which is why he fled. But what really happened to Astro? First, Serenity took him to the vet, who confirmed that the dog was dead. At the autopsy, it was determined that Astro died from internal bleeding after being hit in the stomach by the heavy bag. Despite the tragedy, Serenity was grateful to Astro. She knew that if it weren't for him, things could have ended very badly. She buried her dog in the garden and put a headstone on his grave. On it was written, "Beloved dog, loyal and brave." In addition to this, she kept asking herself why she was chosen. Why did the robber decide to break into her house? And what did he want with her dog? There was only one way to find out. She contacted all the local animal shelters to see if anyone had found a dog matching Astro's description. Fortunately, someone had. They told Serenity that they found the dog wandering near the city center. They asked the woman to come pick him up. When she got there, she couldn't believe her eyes. The dog was in a cardboard box with food and water. It turned out that the kind people who found Astro wanted to give him to Serenity, not take him away from her. She was very grateful. Little did she know that this was no coincidence. Some time passed, and Serenity still hadn't heard from the police. One day, she decided to visit them. To her surprise, they had a lead in the case. They told her that the person they were looking for was Gary Hopkins, a 41-year-old man who lived not far from Serenity. When the police searched his house, they found out that he had recently broken into another woman's house and stolen her phone and purse. Furthermore, witnesses reported seeing a dog running loose in the area after the incident. Could this be a coincidence? Hopkins himself denied everything, but there was evidence against him. He changed his story several times and even tried to bribe the officers. Finally, he admitted that he had stolen the phone and purse, but claimed that he found the dog wandering around the street. In fact, witnesses saw him taking Astro out of Serenity's bag. This was clear evidence that he was guilty. However, the trial was still pending. During this time, Serenity went to the store. When she entered the pet aisle, she was shocked to see a bag of dog food with the name Astro on it. She bought the food and hurried home. From that moment on, she began to notice strange coincidences everywhere. First, it was the dog food, and once she even saw him in a pet store window. But every time she approached, the dogs disappeared. Serenity couldn't understand why her dog was being shown like this. She kept thinking about it. Finally, she decided to check the shelters again. Only this time, she went in person. The workers liked her so much that they allowed her to stay overnight. They agreed to call her if they found anything. At about 4 a.m., the phone rang. One of the workers told her that a dog matching Astro's description was found. Serenity immediately rushed to the shelter. When she saw Astro, she couldn't hold back her tears. She embraced her dog and promised to never let him out of her sight again. The news quickly spread throughout the city, and everyone was happy for Serenity. Even the police congratulated her on finding her dog. Meanwhile, Gary Hopkins was sentenced to 8 months in prison for burglary and was banned from owning a pet for 5 years. But that didn't make Serenity feel better. She understood that her dog suffered greatly because of him. Although Astro had undergone major surgery and couldn't run fast or play fetch, he was still the happiest dog in the world. He loved to cuddle and be close to Serenity. He became her support and helped her through difficult times. Now they can't imagine life without each other. Friends, what would you do if you were in Serenity's place? Be sure to share your thoughts. And that's all for today. The video if you liked it. See you soon. Bye.